The principles of success, like the principles of physics, are timeless. Their application may change, but the principles themselves, they never do.
Mr. Hill, it's an honor and, frankly, a deep curiosity of mine to be speaking with you today. Your book, Think and Grow Rich, has changed millions of lives. It's an incredible legacy.
I'm pleased to be here, Dr. Sinclair, and pleased the ideas have endured. You know, I spent 20 years of my life dedicated to a single question. Just one. Why do some people achieve great success, while others, with equal talent and effort, fail? I spoke with 500 of the most successful men of my time, from Andrew Carnegie to Henry Ford, and I arrived at an answer.
A formula.
Precisely, a formula, a 13-step roadmap. It's not that these men were lucky or smarter than everyone else. They were following a set of distinct principles, whether consciously or unconsciously. Principles that, like the laws of physics, work for anyone at any time. It doesn't matter who you are or in what era you live.
And that's your essential promise, that these principles are universal and timeless.
It's not a promise, Dr. Sinclair. It's an observation, a proven fact. Whatever the mind of man can conceive, and more importantly, believe, it can achieve. That is not a motivational catchphrase. It is a science, the science of achievement.
I understand, and I have complete faith in the power of the mind. What you did was extraordinary, to take success from an abstract, lucky concept and turn it into an understandable, repeatable process. It's genius.
I'm glad to hear you say so.
But we have to be honest. The world in which you discovered these principles was Andrew Carnegie's world. A world of steel, railroads, massive factories. Everything was big, but it was tangible, understandable.
Go on.
Today's world is Elon Musk's world. A world of artificial intelligence that thinks for itself. Of interplanetary travel that, until recently, only existed in science fiction novels. Of digital currencies that have no physical form. The pace of change, it's staggering, Mr. Hill. The complexity is infinite. This world bears no resemblance to Carnegie's world. And so here is my fundamental question, the one I've been wrestling with for a long time. Can we, in good faith, really explain the stunning, chaotic, and sometimes unpredictable success of someone like Musk with principles written nearly a century ago for an industrial world? Or are we just trying to force a new phenomenon into an old, comfortable box? Isn't that a form of intellectual self-deception?
That is the best question I have been asked in a century, Dr. Sinclair. An honest and essential one.
I'm glad you think so.
The best way to test a map is to use it in uncharted territory. You've nominated Elon Musk as the uncharted territory. Very well. Let's take my map and walk step by step through his world. Let's see if we reach a destination or get lost in the wilderness. Shall we?
Absolutely. It's the only way. Where do we begin?
Always at the beginning, with the first principle.
All right. Principle 1. A burning desire. A definite purpose that has become a magnificent obsession. Well, Musk's purpose seems obvious. Money. Wealth. For years, he was the world's richest man. Isn't that the burning desire?
No, not at all. That is the most common mistake. Money and wealth are almost always a byproduct, Dr. Sinclair. They are the result of the work, not the engine that drives it. You cannot wake up in the morning with a burning desire for money itself. That desire cools too quickly. A true desire must be tied to an idea, a dream, a purpose greater than oneself.
So what is his burning desire?
Listen to his words, not just in interviews, but in the goals he sets for his companies. His goal is not to be the richest man on Earth. His goal is to ensure humanity is not only on Earth. Making humanity a multi-planetary species, that is not a normal goal. That is an obsession. That is a burning desire that consumes his mind, so hot that it sears itself into everything he does.
An almost religious objective.
Precisely. A goal so large that small failures along the way seem insignificant. And that brings us to the next challenge.
Yes, the next challenge. A big, beautiful dream is one thing, but reality is another. Let's go back to SpaceX. The first 3 launches, all failures. They exploded. Millions of dollars turned to smoke. The world mocked him. Experts called it a fool's errand. Where does your second principle, faith, fit in here? Faith in what? In a pile of exploded metal? That looks more like stubbornness than faith.
You are mistaking faith for hope. Hope is wishing for something to happen. Faith is the absolute belief that it will happen, even when all physical evidence is to the contrary. When that third rocket exploded, Musk didn't just hear an explosion. In his mind's eye, he was seeing the successful landing of the fourth. He had made the final result so certain in his mind that these failures were merely inevitable steps in the process, not the end of the story. Faith is the ability to close your ears to the logical chorus of defeat and keep your mind's eye fixed on the picture of ultimate victory.
So faith is a kind of mental shield against harsh reality?
A shield against others' interpretation of reality. A critical difference. The reality was that a rocket exploded. The interpretation was, this project has failed. Musk accepted the reality, but he rejected the interpretation. That is the power of faith.
All right, okay. Desire and faith are both internal mental attributes, but to build the rocket you need physics, engineering. And Musk, as far as I know, didn't have a PhD in rocket science. Doesn't that contradict your third principle, specialized knowledge? He didn't have it.
This is where you overlook the subtlety of the principle. The principle does not state you must begin with specialized knowledge. It states you must acquire and apply it. If you do not have it, you must either acquire it yourself or align yourself with those who do. Musk did both.
How?
Do you know what he did after selling PayPal? He moved to California and he devoured every textbook he could find on rocket propulsion and aerospace engineering. He turned himself into an expert. He did not wait for someone to teach him. He pursued knowledge with a hunger. He proved that the greatest university in the world is a library and the will to read. He embodied the essence of the principle. The responsibility for acquiring knowledge rests with you and no one else.
That's a powerful distinction. So knowledge is a continuous pursuit, not a starting point. But even a self-taught genius can't build a rocket alone. He needed a team, an army of the best engineers. Which brings me to another one of your principles, the Mastermind group. Is that just a fancy name for hiring smart people?
No, it is far more than that. Any good manager can hire smart people, but a true leader creates a mastermind. That means the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of perfect harmony between 2 or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. The key word there is harmony.
You mean expertise isn't enough?
Expertise without harmony is an orchestra full of brilliant musicians all playing a different tune. The result is just noise. Musk didn't just hire engineers. He found people who were just as infected with his burning desire to get to Mars as he was. People like Tom Mueller or Gwynne Shotwell, they weren't just working for a paycheck, they were working for a dream. When two or more minds work together in such perfect harmony, an invisible third mind is created. A collective intelligence whose power is greater than the sum of its parts. That is the power of the mastermind.
Wait, so these aren't just a list of good habits for success, are they? Burning desire, faith, specialized knowledge, the mastermind, they're interconnected. They're gears in a clock.
Perwan, you're approaching the heart of the philosophy.
The burning desire provides the fuel. Faith keeps the engine running in the dark. Specialized knowledge provides the map. And the mastermind, that's the vehicle itself. One without the other is incomplete, or at least incredibly slow. This is a system. It's an operating system for the mind.
Precisely.
So that's the hidden wisdom. It was never about Elon Musk or Andrew Carnegie. It was never about building a railroad or building a rocket. It's about building a certain kind of mind, a mind engineered to overcome any challenge. Wow, I was looking at it all wrong.
How so?
I was asking if you could use an old blueprint for a new building. But these principles aren't the blueprint for the building. They're the blueprint for the architect. If you build the architect correctly, that architect can design any building imaginable, a skyscraper or a cabin. That's why it's timeless, because the technology and the industry change, but the psychology of a master builder, that remains constant.
You have reached it. You have grasped the essence of the philosophy. You build the architect first, then the edifice.
And a mind built like that, it's capable of incredible decisiveness. Like your fifth principle, definiteness of decision. When Musk put his last dollar between Tesla and SpaceX, literally walking the razor's edge of bankruptcy, that comes from that same mind. A mind armed with desire and faith and knowledge doesn't hesitate.
Indecision and procrastination are the greatest enemies of success. A decisive mind, even if it occasionally makes a mistake, will reach its destination far faster than a brilliant but hesitant one, because it is always in motion.
This is a remarkably powerful framework, a complete operating system for building an empire, for becoming a titan of industry, whether in Carnegie's time or Musk's. But the question that raises for me is, what does this mean for the average person?
In what way?
I mean, the person who doesn't want to go to Mars, the person who just wants to achieve a meaningful success in their own life or career, the graduate facing an uncertain job market, the employee who feels buried under an avalanche of negative news and social media anxiety, the artist trying to find their voice in a world full of noise. Does this mental operating system still work for them?
Dr. Sinclair, for them, this operating system is more essential than ever before.
How so? The pressure today seems so much greater than in your era.
Precisely for that reason. In my time, the primary challenge was a scarcity of information and opportunity. People had to fight to gain knowledge to see a chance. In your world, the challenge is the polar opposite. You are faced with a storm of information, an endless flood of opinions, distractions, fears, and breaking news, all designed for one purpose.
To get our attention?
To steal your attention. To pull you from your definite purpose. In such a world, if you do not possess an internal compass, you would drown. These 13 principles are nothing more than the construction of that internal compass.
So, in today's world, are these principles more of a defensive tool?
Both defensive and offensive. When you have a burning desire, a definite chief aim that you want with every fiber of your being, it acts as a lighthouse in a fog. It helps you ignore the siren calls of distraction. When you have faith, a faith of your own making, The panic peddled by the daily headlines cannot disturb your peace of mind. When you master the art of definite decision, you are no longer crippled by the analysis paralysis that comes from infinite choice. You choose your path and you move.
So, in a world that is constantly trying to dictate our thoughts and feelings from the outside, this framework is about building an unshakable internal architecture. It's a form of psychological sovereignty, to rule the kingdom of your own mind.
The most accurate way to put it. You cannot control the outside world. Not in my time, not in yours. But you can always, always control your inner world. These principles are the tools to build that inner kingdom, a kingdom that no economic crisis, no pandemic, and no storm of news can ever overthrow.
That's incredibly inspiring, Mr. Hill. An inner kingdom. But for the person watching this tonight who wants to lay the first stone of that kingdom tomorrow morning, what is the first practical, specific, unambiguous step? Where do they start?
They start where Elon Musk started, where Thomas Edison started, where every successful architect begins.
And where is that?
People look at Musk's giant rockets and they feel intimidated. They say, "What I'm doing is nothing like that." That's a mistake. Don't look at his rocket. Look at his first piece of paper, his first spark of an idea. I want your viewers to take their biggest, most audacious goal, the one they might be embarrassed to say out loud.
And then?
Write it down on a piece of paper, not as a vague wish, as a clear statement. What exactly do you desire? What is the definite date by which you will possess it? And what do you intend to give in return for it? For there's no such thing as something for nothing. Then, read that statement aloud every morning when you wake up and every night before you sleep.
Just read it?
No, this is the most important part. As you read, you must see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of that goal. You must feel the excitement, the pride, the gratitude. You must inject emotion into the words. That is the first step. That is the act of reprogramming the subconscious mind. That is planting the seed of your kingdom.
So, in the end, it becomes clear that Elon Musk didn't invent a new cookbook. He just used the same ancient recipe with brand new ingredients in a much more modern kitchen to bake a much, much bigger cake. The recipe remains the same. The principles of success are the operating system for the mind. You can run any software on top of it. What is the first principle you can apply today to achieve your own impossible goal?